Good evening, and we're back again. This is Zwift number 62. Same as Monday night, stage 3 Cityscapes around the Richmond world. 16.5 kilometres. Here's the route here, starting on the flat in the middle, coming towards us before this sharp U-turn right at the bottom of the map, before we still head along a reasonably flat route before dropping down. Before we come to the final few climbs that you can see there, Libby Hill and 23rd Street, and then the stretch up to the finish line. So here we go, off we go. We're in the 270 to 390 category. My ZRS has just dropped from 358 down to 355 for the start of this race, and we had 36 riders enter the race, and it was going to be an interesting ride. It was a nice easy-ish start. You can see my average watts is up at 251 after putting in a good burst at the start and being out quite close to the front. And numerous riders all went past me, and you can see I'm back in 32nd position, and we've all blobbed up nicely, but the pace stayed really intense, so I had to keep pedaling hard. I got a power up of the feather, which was obviously only going to be used right at the end of the race. I don't know if I mentioned it, but we got 160 meters of incline, and when we get to the 10 mile point, I think we've only done around about 30 meters of incline, so there's still 130 to go in those last 4 or 5 kilometers. So you know, all the effort and all the hills are right at the end, and the topography of the landscape is going to kill me towards the end, because those inclines are just really too long for me. I can do the short little bursts like we see on the Clyde Kicker in Glasgow, and also the cobble section on the crit racing course in Watopia. I've even done quite well in Nyoko quite recently as you go up towards the town at the top. But these inclines that you see on this course, the one at Libby Hill, I think is 0.6 kilometres, and they're just too far for me, too long. I've got a weight of 92 kilograms at the moment. I'm a 55-year-old adult, and it's just a real struggle. And I would like to drop my weight, but I don't see, even if I drop my weight down to 88 kilograms, which is a weight that I haven't been for a very long time, I don't see those 4 kilograms, which would be a good amount of weight for me to lose. I don't see that would make much of a difference, really. So yeah, we'll keep struggling on, but the category of 390, it's too intense for me, too hard for me. I've entered because those are the races that people are competing in, and the crit racing courses that are taking place at the moment, top of that category is 350, so I'm outside that band as well, so I'd be riding in a harder band for that. So I won't abuse it, but I will just do a few rides in this 390 category, and then ultimately my ZRS will drop back down below 350, and that'll allow me to compete in that level, because I can't compete at this level. So I'm pedaling really hard. Average watts 244, which is really good. Not amazing, but really good. And if it was up and around that point towards the end, I'd be really pleased. But you can see that I'm not necessarily hanging on, but I just have to keep really focused in regards to getting dropped. You can see there's 2 riders right out the front at the moment. I've caught up with the blob just in that time there, and the 2 riders out in front, P. Buck and B. Bloodworth, one of the Welsh contingent. There was quite a few Welsh riders, myself, Kay Davis was also in there, and I think there's a 4th as well. So we're still bombing along quite nicely. Average watts is increasing even further to 247. If you watch some of my videos and watched one quite recently, I got my highest ever average watts of 264, which gave me a new FTP, which was really pleasing. So 247 is really good, and if I can keep up with that amount of effort, then I'll be really pleased. So yeah, I'm still at the back of the group here. There's various riders around me. Some riders of note just going off the back of the screen on the right hand side. There's Beeble Brock, who's got his own YouTube channel, and often he'll comment on my activity, and in the companion app we'll communicate about our efforts and our rides and things like that, so that's really nice. Also, there's Bloodworth there. There's the other Welshman that I was talking about. And yeah, really pleased with the workload that I put into this ride. It was hard. Average, my beats per minute 152. That's okay. I can maintain that, and if I'm in the 150s, that's all right. My legs didn't feel great. I'm not going to make an excuse, but there is a huge amount of staff off in work at the moment with various sickness bugs and illness. So I'm not sure whether I'm coming down with something that one of my colleagues has got, because I just didn't feel as though I had too much power in my legs, and quite a lot of the race was a struggle. So we are now coming up to the 8 kilometre mark, and it's at that point that we start to head downhill. There's still around about 32 riders all together. I'd be very surprised if anybody makes a break for it on this downhill. So as I say, that somebody bombs out the front, so that's absolutely ridiculous that I just said that. I'm not sure who that rider was, but he's bombed off down the hill in an attempt to lose all of us, so the pace was quite intense. I was able to, after an initial burst of power, just ease off. You can see my average watts, well, the back around 200, but it did certainly ease off closer to the 150 mark. But that rider who was out the front, they're back with us again now. As we get towards the bottom of that descent, and it just slightly undulates around this right hand turn, around this left hand turn, towards the U-turn at the far end of the course before going up that first incline that I talked about, Libby Hill, which can be a killer. Other riders of note that I've noticed, I've ridden against Cool Hand before. He's been in rides on various evenings during the week. Also, Ben Thatcher, I noticed. I think I've ridden against Ben Thatcher before, so that was pleased to see that he was back. So here I am. I'm out the front. I'm thinking again. I think I mentioned this on Monday night when I rode the course on Monday night, that I thought that if I could get to the bottom of Libby Hill in and around the front riders, that gap that I've then created to the back of the group that I'm riding in here might allow me to keep my distance from some of the riders. So that was going to be a ploy that I was going to use, but at the same time I was very aware that, as I've already mentioned, the power in the legs just wasn't there. Currently riding at around 70 RPM, and you'll see that my cadence changes as we start to go up the hill. So I'm not sure who the other rider is at the front, but one of them's P. Buck, who we've seen quite a lot out the front of the course. It's Bloodworth, B. Bloodworth, the Welsh rider. So as we go over that slight undulation, it flattens out here before we hit the bottom of the KOM to Libby Hill. Like I said, I wanted to try and get as good a position as possible and attempt to try and drop some of the riders around me. You can see in the mini-map on the right-hand side that we're a little bit stretched out, but nowhere near as stretched out as I wanted to be. So now you can see my RPM, my cadence has gone up to, well, it's gone back down to 80, but it was in the 90s there as I started off. And it's at this point you can see various riders going past me. I think I changed gear again because I just know the power's not in my legs here. I'm still putting out good wattage, so maybe I am underestimating the competitors that I'm riding against, and maybe I am riding well. My average watts is 247, which is a really good effort. So maybe it was more along the lines of me recognising that I wasn't able to compete with the other riders around me, and I was riding quite well, and that's why my legs felt like lead. So, yeah, I'm back in 28th position now. It's clear that I'm not going to be able to stay with the main body of riders who have already reached the top and are going back down the other side towards 23rd Street. So I just wanted to stay with some of these riders so you can see R. Howard's just by my side here. And we've got another rider just out in front there called Moonian Kind, and then we've got Fixie Freak just in behind us. So those are the riders that I was looking at and whether I could do anything against them. But what I thought I'd do, because I was recognising that I had no power in the legs, is that I would fast forward to some of the other riders, but certainly wanted to keep riding with the riders around me. So here we go up this 23rd Street. Just wanted to put a lot of power in before I hit the bottom of the hill. That allowed me to go past R. Howard and Kindrea, and but that was short-lived. Although I went past them and I was keeping an eye on them in the mini-map, and I could see that the gap was quite good, I did feel as though I was going to struggle. So you can see that R. Howard goes past me at this point. Not only does he go past me, but he just shoots off into the distance. So at this point, with me recognising that I've got no power in my legs, I start to fast forward and find the front riders so that I can attempt to show those going over the line. So here we have P-Buck out in front. I don't know what happens to the mini-map in the centre there. It shows him on the top of the hill with still climbing at 6%. So, but it's clear that he's actually going uphill. So I'm not sure what happened there, but he's got a 3-second lead from around about 5 or 6 other riders. They're all quite close behind him. And whilst I'm filming, I'm just keeping an eye on that gap to see whether it's increasing or decreasing. And you can see at this point it comes down to 3 seconds, then straight away down to 2 and 1. So the gap is bridged by M. Cotton. He's followed by Dan Snowden, who's also bridged the gap. So there's a couple of them there out in front. There you go. You can see M. Cotton going past him. And we're in the last couple of 100 metres here now. But it's M. Cotton who's out in front and P-Buck's just behind him, but there's numerous other riders who were all really close. But so filming M. Cotton again there, but P-Buck reignites his power and shoots straight past him. You can also see that Victor Harold also puts a lot of power in towards the end. So I'll go through all the positions shortly when we get to me crossing the line, but you can just see various riders going over the finish line here. Here I'm focusing on Ben Thatcher. Then there's the Welshman Kay Davis. So all these riders doing really, really well and putting a lot of effort in. There's Beeble Brock, who's finished ahead of me again. I'm still not grasping how, and it's nothing personal against Beeble Brock, but how Beeble Brock has got a lower Zwift racing score but always finishes ahead of me. Yeah, so I do find it quite confusing, really. And there's a number of riders who will be with me riding 2-3 times a week in the races. There's a number of riders who I'm aware of who a similar statistic is in place. So it's a bit confusing, really. So here we go, up to 26th position now. I think this rider here gets overtaken right by the line. Here is Jay Keltner, who's out in front of me now. I'm not sure what the gap would have been at the start of the last hill, but he's certainly gone past me. I make an effort to try and catch him, and you can see that, well, I won't say how it goes, but I do put a bit of a sprint in because I have conserved a lot of energy, but he still just pips me at the finish line. What I would say was that the benefit of filming everybody else in the race was that I didn't have to see myself going up that final hill. But here's the final positions. We had P-Buck out in front in 25 minutes and 41 seconds, followed by M. Cotton just a second behind. Third was Victor Harrell. He was 7 seconds back. Then we had David Ogg in fourth, very close behind Victor. Then in fifth we had Dan Snowden, also very close. Sixth was David Butteris. Seventh, Johan Tanas, still only 10 seconds behind the leader. Then Oscar Lindfors, followed by Ove Sonnevald. And then Cool Hand got in the top 10, so that was really pleasing to see for Cool Hand. People Brock was around about 20th position, I think, and I was close to 30th. I'm not entirely sure exactly where, but a good effort. My average watts were 237 this time round. I went over the finish line in 28 minutes and 14 seconds. When I did the race on Monday, I averaged 1 watt lower at 236, but was able to ride 30 seconds faster in 27:37. So that must just be the benefit of a larger group and a stronger drafting process. So yeah, that was quite interesting. That I worked harder than I did the other day. So all in all, pretty, as it said there, brutal ride. Found it really tough, but pleased with my effort. I'm not sure how that's impacted on my ZRS. A little hope is that it has just dropped just below 350. It won't make much difference really, but it'll just allow me to compete in that category. So hope you've enjoyed watching it. Please feel free to comment on anything you've seen in the video, and also if you'd like to subscribe, that'd be great also. So catch you again soon, probably at the weekend. Cheers, bye bye.